What's more likely for Week 7 of the 2020 season, the Giants and the Eagles? What's more likely, Chris? Daniel Jones throws 2 or more touchdown passes, or Boston Scott reaches 100-plus yards from scrimmage? Miles Sanders, by the way, out this week with a knee problem.
Well,
what's more likely?
I think I'd have to go with Boston Scott here. I do. I mean, there's limited weapons on the Eagles. The way they have their offense planned out, Ertz, Fulgham, and Scott will be the third option. We saw last year the one thing he was very good at was in the pass game, to where I think that's where he'll get over that, that'll help him get over that 100-yard plus scrimmage mark. But Daniel Jones, 2 TDs, they're going to have some opportunities, but man, their offense is struggling. They don't pass protect well. They don't have a lot of great receivers to get open down the field that way. So I'm going to go with Boston Scott.
Yeah, I agree with you. I just don't have a whole lot of faith in the Giants offense. No. I know they beat Washington, but I need to see a hell of a lot more.
It was 13-13
out of Daniel Jones.
Washington was driving down the field, right? And that's when they got the strip sack fumble.
And they call it a strip sack. I still don't know that it was a strip sack per se. It almost looked like quarterback coughs the ball up.
Yeah,
like,
a little bit.
Like throws it like it almost qualified as a forward pass, that fumble. So it was just kind of a strange thing. All right, the Steelers 5-0 at the Titans 5-0. The original game that was postponed as a result of the pandemic, and it's even bigger now that both teams are at 5-0 as they get ready to meet. What's more likely? Derrick Henry gets 120 or more rushing yards, or he's held to under 80. You can't pick a number between 81 and 119. What is it? 120 or more, or 80 or less?
I'm going to go under 80. I am. I just, the Steelers, they're not going to let the run game go. They're not going to be cool with that. Like, oh, go ahead, run the ball on us. Then you can just do everything. I think they're going to go, no, we'll stop the run. We'll take our chances with the pass game, things like that, see where it goes there. But I just, Mike Tomlin, they're defensive guys, old school defensive guys. I just have a hard time thinking they're gonna let him get off that way. Now, it stinks that Devin Bush got hurt in the middle of their defense. I mean, he's a really good football player. But I'll tell you, this damn kid that came in for him, I don't want to mess up his name, Spillane or whatever. He was impressive looking. I'm hopeful for him, but that front seven still, it's the best in football, or certainly one of the 2 or 3 best. I'm going to go with under 80 rushing yards.
And here's the thing.
Yeah.
What's the game plan going to be for the Tennessee Titans? Are they going to try to power Derrick Henry into the line like they always do? And are they just going to say, you're trying to take Derrick Henry away, we're going to let Ryan Tannehill go out and do his thing? Or maybe it's going to be Derrick Henry catching passes, not running into the teeth of that defense. So they may not try to get 120 or more yards out of Derrick Henry this week, Chris.
Well, yeah, I don't think they're going to bang their head against it. They're always going to try and work through that. But they're never too stubborn to where you go, like the Buffalo Bills game the other week. Buffalo had everybody by the line of scrimmage. They were just like, okay, fine. We'll run the ball to keep you honest, but, man, every time we drop back to pass, we're gashing you with play-action passes and 15- and 20-yard gains. And that's where they're awesome right now. So, they always want to play through Henry. It's just going to be, okay, we're going to continue to play through him, or do we have to adjust and start to play off of him and use him more as a decoy? That's where they'll have to make that decision at some point in the first quarter with how the Steelers are playing them.
There's one flaw in Derrick Henry's game.
Yeah.
And it's that it takes him a couple of steps to get going.
No doubt.
And if you can swarm to him before he gets ahead of steam and knock him down, that's your only chance. If you let him get those first 2 or 3 steps, he's either going to run past you, or he's going to run through you, or he's going to stiff arm you into the ground, or you're going to make a business decision and run the other way. And there's nobody on that Steelers team that's going to make any business decisions. They're going to be going after Derrick Henry.
They are.
And they're going to be coached all week long to get him ASAFP the moment he gets the ball in his hands. Otherwise, you let him get going and you got a problem.
I like that little F in there in the ASAFP.
I don't know what you're talking about.
That was very smooth of you. Very smooth. But you're right. And to your point about him being a little bit of a, gain some momentum type runner, that's where Pittsburgh's amazing. There's no Taylor Lewan at left tackle now because of the ACL. That's a little concerning. And Pittsburgh is a chaos front. They want to create chaos to where you're like, whoa, we don't know which way you're going. You've messed up our blocking. And then the running back's indecisive too because it all looks crazy to him. He might pop one, but I think more than likely they're going to be all over him and ready to go.
Speaking of the Pittsburgh defense, something I noticed watching the Browns-Steelers game, and we talked about this last night on PFTPM. I want to get your thoughts on this.
Yeah.
And the angle for that game seemed like wider, so you could see the whole Pittsburgh defense
right
on every snap. There's something about them pre-snap. There's a swagger to them pre-snap. The way they move, there's a certainty.
Yes.
And I think that in and of itself has got to be intimidating for an offense. And I think Minka Fitzpatrick knew what was coming on the play where he got the pick six. If you watch that closely, he goes right to the spot.
Yep.
He takes 2 steps. He's got the ball, and he's gone. And I noticed that over and over again, especially in the secondary, the linebackers in the secondary. There's just a certainty and a confidence and an attitude to the way they move before the snap that would freak me out if I was the quarterback.
No doubt. They know how to mess with the quarterback and, mess with disguises and, oh, yeah, we're the big bad Steelers. I'm walking over here. You better be ready. I might blitz set hut. And all of a sudden he drops back to, the deep safety. And you're like, wait, that is the beauty of the Pittsburgh defense. It's confusing. It makes you think a lot. They got, they're one of the worldwide leaders and big bad mofos on a defense to where it's just it's the trifecta. And they're special that way.
But is that something that affected you as a quarterback?
Definitely.
If you walk up to the line of scrimmage and look over there and see all these guys who are very certain and very confident and just very aware of where they're going to be, and you don't know where they're going to be?
I never had to play and start against that Ravens defense, but I can make the correlation to the Baltimore Ravens, who were the similar way with Ray Lewis and Ed Reed. And, yeah, you're constantly, wait, what are they in? Are they in this defense? Is he going to blitz this guy? Do I need to check the protection? All of those type of things. It's really important to have a kind of a simple game plan in a lot of ways, just to make so the quarterback doesn't have to overthink. But even in my experience being on a team playing Pittsburgh, because their defense hasn't really changed, that was always what we were worried about. The Tennessee Titans back in 2008, best team in the AFC. We're playing the Steelers. We've talked about the game before. I got to be Troy Polamalu during the week and some of the practices and walkthroughs because that's all we were worried about was like that Minka Fitzpatrick thing you're talking about. Man, where is he going to be? Where is he going to end up? Let's not let him influence us checking a play here. There's a little signal that they might go to this coverage, so let's not run into some play and change it, and then they get out of it and play some other defense. It's the most concerning thing that you have to deal with when you play the Steelers.
How the hell did you end up playing Troy Polamalu for the scout team?
Well, they knew like I was, a football nerd, and I was still at that point. I'm Ron Jaworski, and I watched the film, and I had a good idea of kind of how he moved around, and if he was going to play this coverage, he'd be over here and then end up over there. And Kerry Collins liked how I did it, so I think he kept telling them, "Hey, put him back there. He's giving us a good look and all that, and he's making it hard on us, and it helped. Hopefully." We won.
Also, free advice, something we should have mentioned last night to Derrick Henry when we had him on PFTPM. If it goes well on Sunday against the Steelers, stay away from the terrible towels. Don't mess around.
Right. Don't stomp on. Don't
jinx
yourself.
Of 2008.
Right.
No, absolutely not. One more from that game. What's more likely, Ryan Tannehill throws 3 touchdowns and no picks, or Ben Roethlisberger throws 3 touchdowns and no picks?
Wow. Whoa. Man. I mean, Ryan Tannehill is so on fire and is so good. I think if I'm going to choose one here, I'm going to go with Ben Roethlisberger. One, I'm not totally sure I buy into the Steelers' run game yet, right? I mean, it looked good last week, and I hope they can continue it, but I'm just not going to buy into it yet. And we've seen the Tennessee Titans will give you some opportunities to make some plays in the pass game. And I think because of that, if you make me choose one or the other, I'll go with Big Ben. I could see Ryan Tannehill throw over 3 touchdowns, but maybe an interception and getting fooled one play by that Steelers defense or something like that.
Ben did not have big numbers last week, but he had 2 big throws, and he manipulated the defense with his eyes and his body language in each of them. He looked right and got Chase Claypool in single coverage because Andrew Sendejo faded over to the right, and then he did a pump on the touchdown to James Washington that allowed Washington to be basically uncovered in the end zone because everything flowed the way. So he's still one of the best to do it, and I agree with you. I think it's more likely to be him with 3 and 0. Big receiver matchup in the desert on Sunday. The Seahawks at the Cardinals. What's more likely? DK Metcalf has 100 or more receiving yards, or DeAndre Hopkins has 100 or more receiving yards?
Man, they're both awesome. I'm going to go with DK. Cover corners with Arizona and just the way they play lately with Hopkins. Hey, it was great at first, but it hasn't been a machine that way. And like I've told you, I think people are catching on to that Cardinals offense a little bit. But I would think between Seattle having a week off, knowing they're playing Arizona, little extra time on, hey, let's not DeAndre Hopkins get off on us. I'm going to go with DK Metcalf gets the 100 yards.
And the Seahawks have 2 weeks to get ready for this one. I think that makes a difference as well. And also, the Seahawks are going to remember what happened late last year when they're trying to win the division and the Cardinals come to town and put one on them. A little payback is going to be in order. I don't want to get ahead.
Jamal Adams, right? He'll be back.
Our picks. We'll find out with the injury reports today, but the indications were he'd be back from the groin strain in time for this game against the Cardinals. But Hopkins has 100.2 receiving yards per game, leading the NFL. Metcalf has 99.2 yards per game. He's in second place. But I'm with you. I think it's going to be Metcalf on Sunday.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.